Hey there, everyone. I'm Tiffany Blake, and welcome to Evil Exposed High School Horrors. This is the place where we dive into the creepiest, spookiest, and most terrifying tales that happen right here in high school. From haunted hallways to sinister secrets, we're all about uncovering the dark side of those school days you thought you knew. So, get ready to have your pom-poms shaken and your spine totally chilled. Tonight's episode is, super intense. It's about a killer who hides in plain sight, right in the middle of all that school spirit. Imagine someone dressing up as the school mascot and turning football games into a total nightmare. This is the story of the Mascot Killer, and trust me, it's gonna be a wild ride. So sit tight and let's get into it. Okay, so it all started at Ridgeway High, where everyone was super into school spirit. The cheerleaders, the football team, and the mascot were the heart and soul of every game. But during the fall of 1992, that spirit was totally shattered by a series of gruesome murders that left the community in total fear. It all began at the season's first home game. The night was electric with excitement, the stands packed with students, parents, and alumni. The Ridgeway Ravens were totally known for their fierce competitiveness, and the cheerleaders led the crowd in deafening chants. But no one noticed the new mascot costume, an eerie raven with dark, beady eyes and a twisted beak. The game was going as usual until halftime. The cheerleaders took the field to perform their routine, all synchronized in stuff. Suddenly, the mascot joined them, moving with surprising agility. At first, the crowd cheered louder, thinking it was part of the show. But as the mascot's movements grew erratic and aggressive, a sense of unease totally rippled through the audience. Before anyone could react, the mascot lunged at one of the cheerleaders, Sarah Miller, dragging her away from the group. The crowd's cheers turned to horrified screams as the mascot produced a knife, gleaming under the stadium lights, and, slashed at Sarah. Panic ensued, people scattering in all directions, but the mascot disappeared into the chaos, leaving Sarah bleeding on the field. The news of Sarah's brutal murder spread quickly, casting a dark shadow over Ridgeway High. The students were totally terrified, and the administration was in disarray. No one knew who was behind the mask, and the police had no leads. The only clue was the mascot costume, which had vanished along with the killer. Principal Harris held an emergency assembly the next day. The gymnasium was filled with anxious students, their whispers a constant hum. Principal Harris stood at the podium, trying to, project calm. "We understand how frightened you all are," he said, his voice steady but strained. "The police are doing everything they can to find the person responsible. In the meantime, we are taking every precaution to ensure your safety. No one is allowed to be alone after dark, and all events will be heavily supervised." Despite these assurances, the fear was, totally palpable. Whispers of the mascot killer circulated through the halls, each rumor more terrifying than the last. Some said it was a vengeful spirit. Others believed it was someone from within the school, someone they knew. The football games continued, but the atmosphere had, totally changed. The once joyous events were now tinged with dread. Extra security patrolled the stands, and the cheerleaders performed with a constant sense of unease. 2 weeks later, during a tense game against their biggest rivals, the atmosphere was, even more charged. The cheerleaders, determined to honor Sarah's memory, gave a performance filled with fierce determination. As they finished their routine, the familiar figure of the mascot appeared once again, emerging from the shadows. This time, the students and faculty were prepared. The police had been stationed around the field, ready to act at the first sign of trouble. But the mascot seemed almost supernatural in its ability to evade capture, slipping through the crowd with, terrifying ease. The cheerleaders scattered, fear gripping their hearts. Amid the chaos, another cheerleader, Lisa Turner, found herself cornered near the bleachers. The mascot advanced on her, the same gleaming knife in hand. Lisa screamed, her voice echoing through the stadium, but the crowd's panic drowned her out. The police rushed towards her, but the mascot was too quick, slashing at Lisa before disappearing into the night once again. Lisa survived, but the attack left her, totally traumatized, and the school in deeper fear. The police were baffled, the community on edge. The mascot killer had struck twice, leaving no clues behind. Principal Harris announced the cancellation of all future games until the killer was caught. The halls of Ridgeway High were, totally gripped with fear as the days turned into weeks. The once vibrant atmosphere was replaced by this super oppressive silence, and students moved through the corridors in groups, all wary of every shadow. The football games were canceled, and the cheerleading squad, once the epitome of school spirit, was now a somber reminder of the horror that had gone down. Could be spread like wildfire, but nobody had any real clues. It was so creepy. One night, a couple of weeks after the last attack, the school decided to hold a memorial for Sarah and Lisa. The gym was filled with students, teachers, and parents, all trying to find some sense of closure. The atmosphere was heavy, with everyone on edge, looking around, expecting the worst. During the memorial, Principal Harris gave a speech about unity and strength, but it was, totally obvious that everyone was just super scared. As the ceremony went on, the lights in the gym began to flicker, sending a wave of panic through the crowd. Suddenly, the power went out completely, plunging the gym into darkness. People started screaming, and in the chaos, a familiar figure appeared in the dim emergency lighting. The raven mascot, with its twisted beak and dark, beady eyes, stood at the back of the gym. It was so surreal, like a nightmare come to life. The crowd was frozen in fear as the mascot slowly made its way forward. This time, the killer didn't have the element of surprise. Several students and teachers, filled with a desperate courage, rushed to stop the figure. But the mascot was, super fast and agile, slipping through the crowd with ease. The killer produced the same gleaming knife and slashed at anyone who got too close. In the chaos, one of the students, a football player named Jake, managed to tackle the mascot to the ground. There was a struggle, and the mask was torn off, revealing the face of Mr. Thompson, the school's janitor. The crowd gasped in shock and horror. Mr. Thompson, with wild eyes and a twisted grin, hissed at the students trying to restrain him. "You never appreciated me," he spat, his voice filled with venom. "All these years, and you never saw me. But now, you'll never forget." The police arrived and quickly apprehended Mr. Thompson, ending his reign of terror. The truth was out. Mr. Thompson had been hiding in plain sight, using the mascot costume to carry out his gruesome attacks. He had harbored a deep resentment towards the school and its students, and the costume had given him the anonymity he needed to unleash his fury. The nightmare was finally over, but Ridgeway High would never be the same. The memory of the mascot killer would haunt the school for years to come, a dark reminder of the horrors that can lurk behind even the most familiar faces. Well, that's the story of the mascot killer. Pretty spooky, right? But, I'm sure everything's totally safe now. I mean, there's no way that creepy mascot could still be around, right? Wait, you guys, is he, behind me right now? No, seriously, is he? Okay, this isn't funny.